everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, and with me is Retro Nerd Girl and of Positive Fandom, and we are back with another, I guess you call it breakdown and review, because we will actually scrub through the episode and kind of give our commentary as we go along, and then give a brief review and what we rate the episode. So to let you folks know up front, because I think I forgot the last one, there's spoilers. Just so you know. So if you haven't watched the show yet, you might want to go back and watch it and then watch this video. Or unless you don't care about spoilers, and that's okay. First off, how you ladies doing?
Good.
Doing good. Yeah.
Friday night, just got paid. Well, I didn't, but it's Friday night.
I know the feeling. It's like it's Friday. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna do stuff. I can't wait to do stuff.
Yeah. Somehow today actually feels like a Friday too. It's like really feels like people are having a little bit more fun than usual. So good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Down here in Florida, it's spring break season officially. Spring break. So it's always this state is interesting during spring break. I tell you, 10 college students to a hotel room. It's
wow. Yeah.
But folks, we are here on our second episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian, titled "In the Minds" or "The Minds of Mandalore," which I believe that's The Minds of Mandalore. Because the last episode where we left off is that Mando, seemingly without any help from Bo-Katan forthcoming, is going to go to Mandalore so he can wash himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. No, sorry, not Lake Minnetonka. I had to make that joke. But wash himself in the sacred waters and the mines of Mandalore so he can be redeemed and go back to hang out with his homeboys, so that's where we left off. So when we start this episode, we're back on Tatooine. What do you ladies think about how frequently we've been going to Tatooine in this series?
I don't know. I mean, it's a hub. It's a place where people go. Pele is there for a reason because she works on parts and they got that big race. But Tatooine isn't one of my. I would rather be in Namos or Tassio Moon or something, or even Coruscant if I could.
Definitely Coruscant.
Yeah, Coruscant is my kind of place, but so is Namos.
Everything seems to be happening on Coruscant.
Yeah.
But Pele seems okay. Like, she's there and, business is thriving and she's still in her, let's say kingdom, her dock where she has clients. And, I guess Mando trusts her, so he feels he can go to her and ask her about different things. I'm surprised he's not going to Ferrix, which seems to be the place that had everything. So I don't know whether Ferrix is still the place that you would go to for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that got all obliterated after everything that happened with the Empire. So maybe Tatooine is the place you go to now.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Ferrix is one of those places that got by the Empire.
Exactly. So so I'm not surprised he's going to Pele to look for those parts, and I'm sure that's where he got that Jawa piece from. The Jawa piece, that the crystal with the Mandalorian writing. I'm sure he got it from Pele, from a Jawa, and she knows Jawas, so you know how it goes.
And Jawas got the hookup. That's all I'm gonna say. You need an astromech droid, they got you. You need a protocol droid, they got you. You need like some egg from a crate dragon, or was it the pearl? They got you.
Or a Mandalorian suit. Right?
Yes, definitely got you.
Wow, they've got stuff, and they have stuff. They're like a museum where they don't display all their goods because there isn't enough space. They probably have stuff stored in bunkers on Tatooine somewhere.
Oh yeah, they probably do. Yeah.
They're just,
I bet they could find that that piece that Manda was looking for.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody, because Jawas are straight up hustlers. They
Uh-huh.
seem to have everything that everybody wants, and if they don't have it, eventually they'll get it for you for a price, of course. But it never ceases to amaze me about these feuds.
And so, of course, we see R5 again, who's
Yes.
really getting his due, right? Or her due, or whatever R5 is, finally getting their due after all this time. He was a rejected astromech, right? He's been there from day one,
Yeah.
on
Hmm.
Tatooine, broke down, and then they decided to go with R2. But here he is again in the spotlight. I'm sure he thought, I've my golden years are behind me, and I don't have to do anything now. You what? You want me to what? I think that's his attitude, is quite surprised that there's a sudden interest in him all of a sudden. So,
Yeah.
so it is kind of funny to see he's got a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of personality, and it's funny to see him operate.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was happy to see him back as well. I didn't actually know it was him until later, and I was like, going through some of the expert people who know more about Star Wars was just like, yeah, this is the same droid. And I was like, yeah, for wow. Great callback. I mean, I bet they could have, whether they got him or some other droid, I think he worked really well in this episode. And I definitely enjoyed the character, and I'm thinking maybe he might be a little friend for Grogu eventually, because Grogu needs a pet or somebody he can relate to besides, the bigger people.
Yeah, I agree. He does need something, or someone who can talk to him and won't get tired or like not understand his questions, because Grogu's got some complicated questions for him.
Yes, I can't wait till he starts talking.
So I
Which
would be the person who would have to answer these questions that he's asking. It's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I don't know. Hold on, I gotta look this up, 'cause I don't know
Go
what.
ask, go ask the droid. Okay,
yeah,
go ask the droid.
yeah,
Droid can answer the question for you. But yeah, I agree with you, ladies. When I saw it, because I didn't know it was that the same droid from A New Hope. I see it and I'm just like, is it really that one, or is it from that class of them?
yeah,
Like 3PO is, he's a protocol droid. There's other protocol droids that look like him, but
yeah.
it's not him. So that's a cool that was definitely a cool callback. Definitely. Yep. See here, the Jawas. I'm telling you, the Jawas got everything, and they will not hesitate to shoot you either.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
these guys.
yeah, they're really cool. And I think the special effects for them actually, or the just the character creation is much better than I've ever seen it. Like you can't see anything in that hood at all. It's just black in there. And
Just
so
eyes.
yeah, and it's just well done. It doesn't look weird or hokey or anything. But
Hmm.
some people were mentioning that these Jawas look like they got a little extra meat on them than you they used to be skinny and
Jawas
little.
a little better than before.
Yeah.
All like we're living large now.
Yeah, yeah. They've got plenty of eggs, probably.
Yeah. Or people getting eggs for them, so they could have them. But yeah, I love how,
Jawas.
the Jawas are always hustling. Apparently, this Rodian, I guess there was a certain part he wanted, or was an engine part or something like that. And they're
I
haggling over the price, cores, and all. But of course, you know that when we get here, I love these pit droids. There's
okay there.
just something comedic about the pit droids.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really cute and sweet, they're just, doing their own little jobs and trying to help out wherever they
Hmm.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they
this,
really are, and they fit in well with Pele. Like they have a good rapport with her, but at the same time, they do a lot of work. She's like, "Get this thing out of here," or
Yeah.
"Throw him down in the corner somewhere,"
hmm
and
Yeah.
it's like, "Get him something to eat." It's like it's so sweet to have them, be her personal Uber slash, whatever it is that she needs. But
hmm
I when Mando arrives with, the scene right here with Grogu, and she's kind of like, "Where's my little guy? Where's the little?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
He kind of force jumps himself out of there, and it's like, whoa. So he's now, and of course we're seeing he's still using the force every day, like it's his life now, and he's changed so much and grown so much there. But it is fun to see him kind of jump into her arms, because he missed Pele.
Yeah, he does that cool Jedi flip that, I'm not sure if he learned it from, Luke, but he was definitely doing those flips when he was with Luke. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you were so spot on last week, Lorraine, when you mentioned, his training, with Luke is really starting to show itself. So, I'm loving, everything with, those 2 characters, her relationship with him, and, you could see the way he's looking up at her like, "Oh, somebody, a friend." It's just really sweet.
Yeah, his socialization in a way where he's, like, talking to her.
Yeah, oh my god, that was the best. It's like, and I was
He's like,
like,
"She said his first word. He said Pelly. Did you hear him? He said Pelly," It's like you couldn't tell, but you
"Great."
couldn't say that he didn't say
Yeah,
that, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I like how they kind of left that the sound there was enough reasonable doubt in there where you couldn't say that he wasn't saying her name, but not quite sure. So I like how they left that part there.
yeah.
Like that. But apparently Mando is back in town looking for a part.
Yeah, he's looking for that chip that goes into the IG unit. And I don't know how old IG units are. Like these might have been created even before, who knows, like before BBY occurred, like it could be that long ago. Could be
Yeah.
years ago, could be 100 years ago. I don't really know. So I don't know the history of the IG units. I know there's IG-88, which is the ones that were hunting during the Empire's rule.
Mhm.
But yeah, IG units, I have no idea. She's like, they don't make these anymore, bro. Come on. It's like this is Tatooine, but that might be kind of impossible to find. And I thought it was very interesting that he asked her for that. Maybe they won't ever find the part, but there has to be some reason for him to go see her. So and then of
Mhm.
course she offers him R5.
Interesting question when I'm thinking about when she said, they don't make these chips anymore. I don't wanna give Lucasfilm any material, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Is it that they don't make them anymore, or is it that you can't really get them
Hmm.
because that's like a closely held secret? Because I would think that a chip for an assassin droid is not something that's,
Well, yeah, I
sold
mean,
out in the marketplace.
it makes sense because the default for the IG unit is to self-destruct if they feel like they're going to possibly get captured,
Right.
and and that is a factory default. And so that's probably why there aren't any just hanging around because they're instructed to destroy those company secrets. Um, so yeah, I mean, it could be a matter of trademark, or something as simple as that. Like they want to make sure that their trademark for designing these units are kept under wraps. I love that idea. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just something that hit me. I'm like, somebody on the black market is probably the only way that you're gonna get it, and they're probably like, what's it worth to you?" And we're not talking
yeah.
about a chip for an astromech droid here. We're talking about a chip for an assassin droid. But apparently, Jawas are gonna look for it. I think she said they were gonna look for one.
Yeah, they're probably gonna find one in there. Yeah, they gotta find something.
Yeah, they gotta find it.
They got
So
something. They got a little bit of everything. It's
yeah.
like the Little Mermaid's tomb where she's got a little bit of everything, and then
Mhm.
they've got everything.
But to go back to what you ladies were saying about Mos Eisley, like what we've seen, when in like in A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back and all of that, that is literally where if you want to find the best pilots, you want to find the best smugglers, that's where you go. So I'm thinking after the fall of the empire, it's like, hey, we can go legit now. And it's
Yeah.
probably where people are making money out of, now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, Tatooine is, it's a staple for, Star Wars lore, and, I think that it's natural that everything just happens on Tatooine. Even though a lot of people, a lot of fans are sick of Tatooine, I'm
Mhm.
not, I don't care.
It's like I want to see really like other cool planets. That's why I was very
Me too.
excited that we got to go to Mandalore. Because speaking
Yes.
of that, they're just like, well, we're gonna go. We got the droid, so he can basically be the canary in the coal mine, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean, it is very interesting to see how
Oh,
Grogu, oh,
He's
dude,
so
look at him
so
looking out. It's
cute.
like so
He's so
excited.
cute.
And it's the same race that of course Anakin had when he was kind of racing for his life,
Yes.
race for your life. That's what was happening for Anakin. And of course he won that race, but it's the same it's Bantu Eve or something Eve
Yeah,
where
Boonta Eve.
yeah, where they have the races and Grogu's like, oh, what's going on? Well, and I think he could have taken a day or two just to kind of let him enjoy the holiday, but it's okay. Mando is literally on a mission here.
Yeah.
And Grogu is just loving all of this. You can see his eyes wide looking at all this exciting things going on. And
Do you see
Yeah.
his chainmail?
yes, he is
Yes,
wearing it.
I
he's still
told
wearing it.
somebody it was under there.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, he's wearing it.
it's on
So
and it's part of him now. He's not going to
yeah.
take that off. So, and it didn't add any weight at all. So,
No, no, because he
So
flew
adorable.
right to Pelly the way like R2D2 got thrown back up by that monster on Dagobah.
Right. Yep, yep.
That's what I was thinking about.
so it is interesting, Lorena, you mentioned how, Din was showing Grogu the different places. And of course, there's Concordia, which is where Din grew up. And honestly, I didn't know how close Concordia was to, uh, I think it's called Malevala, which is where Bo-Katan lives,
Mhm.
versus Mandalore. And apparently it's a moon right outside of Mandalore. So, they were kind of very close, literally like within 1 parsec of
Yeah.
one another, living on
Wow.
these planets. And I don't know what Concordia was like, but I always thought he grew up somewhere else.
Me
Uh,
too.
so, this was kind of great to see that he was so close by. And perhaps there are some other moons with tons of other Mandalorians hanging out, trying to figure out what's going on. So it is very interesting. And I'm sure Grogu actually knows that there were Mandalorians there and about Mandalore because he studied in the Jedi Temple and they're exposed to a lot more
Mhm.
information with all those resources. So he kind of knows a lot, but this is his, as I'd like to say, his real life experience.
Yeah. So adorable.
He's so
So
darn
cute.
cute. He's so darn cute.
So crazy. I'm just crazy about him. That's all. I'm crazy about Din as well. I'm like, I didn't get to enjoy the whole, thing that people were experiencing 2 years ago. So I'm like,
Oh,
I am having my Mando love moment now. So
enjoy
That's
it. Enjoy
that
it.
is all right. Enjoy it. I know
I'm
I
like,
got so excited seeing this because to see it's like, okay, let's go see Mandalore. Is it really, you know,
mhm.
a hot mess and bombed into the Stone Age for real? Or what are we gonna find? I mean, what did you ladies think? Like that anticipation when Din's finally entering the atmosphere.
I was expecting what we saw was a mess. Um, I do have to applaud the special effects cinematography that they have going on here to create that establishing shot of Mandalore and just the whole gradually, from these dark clouds that are, and it's raining and thundering and lightning, and then finally
Mhm.
you get into like clear skies, but it's all burnt out. And it was just like, yep, this uh, is gonna be look going through the ruins of a civilization. Um, and I have to say it did live up to my expectations.
Wow, I
It looks
And
love this.
it
gorgeous, right?
it does, and I'm sure you guys felt the same way, but it does feel like it's surrounded by kryptonite, right?
Yes,
Yes.
And it
very.
looks like you just have to break through that shell so that the Mandalorians can pop out and they get their strength back. Just someone needs to take all of that gemstone, that agate, and just make a bunch of necklaces and jewelry for everybody
Exactly, yes.
out of these crystals and just, um, open it up so it can be Mandalore again.
Yeah. I hope they do just that. I mean, eventually over time or whatever. It definitely, I think it got me much closer to feeling an emotional connection to the Mandalorians, like, and what they've been through. So
Mhm.
it wasn't just like, we're going to yet another planet and exploring. This used to be something incredible, and
Mhm.
now it's in ruins and, um, just even Din, had never been there, but the way he was talking about it was, really made me feel connected to this planet and what would happen in the future for these people. So yeah, I hope they make it pull through.
It was quite poetic how he's talking about the moon that he was raised on. And speaking of Mandalore, like, this is the legends that people have told me about Mandalore. Now I'm finally going to find out for myself if it's true that that it's no longer inhabitable, but he still talked about it reverently, like he had that hope, and that kind of like built the anticipation because we're like, what are we going to see?
Yeah,
Are we going to see like, wow, the planet is fine, or are we going to see that it's still on fire, like when it was getting bombed when we saw it in I think in season 2, where you saw them when they were, where Mandalore was just getting bombed. I mean, it was
Yes,
beautiful.
it's
The
horrible.
cinematography on
yeah,
that was amazing.
the
Yeah,
Night of a Thousand Tears or the Purge,
yeah,
where
Yes.
everything got destroyed, I guess. And
Mhm.
of course, yeah. The other thing that I was curious about is it poison, which was something that I guess had been said, or they were saying that the surface of the planet is poison, no one can go there.
Right.
yeah. Which I mean, I still think it's got to be a lot. Like somebody lied about that. Um, whether it be the Empire or or the Children of the Death Watch. I don't know who started it, but it I think it was a lie to keep people away because obviously the other group of people that still live on the planet are doing just fine.
I like that shot that you had up just a few seconds ago, Lorena, because it
Which
showed
one?
how close the unit is, where the droid section is to where Mando is in.
Mhm.
I've actually seen this actual N1 that's used in the television show in person at
Oh.
Star Wars Celebration last year. Dave Filoni brought that and a bunch of other props that were used in the program to a special exhibit called the Mandalorian Experience, and I happened to see it in person. I have a video of it on Positive Fandom there, and it's actually very close. Grogu's really close to him, and he can easily climb right out of that thing and kind of sneak into the cockpit and cuddle with Din when he gets lonely. He needs a hug or something. So at first, I was very concerned because it looked kind of far away, and I'm like, that's not cool. He's still a child. He needs to be around his father. But then when I
Mhm.
saw it in real life, I was like, wow, it's super close. Like he's
Yeah,
literally right there. So, and you can see it here in the picture. It's very clear
Mhm.
to see how close those sections are. So Grogu just kind of sitting in there with Din is fine. I don't think it's that much of a deal. But if they pick up any other passerbys, it's going to start to get very, very crowded in that cockpit.
pick me, pick me.
And
Uh,
that kind of makes sense because with the X-wings, like with the X-wings and the Y-wings, you would see like when they would put the astromech droid in, there's not that much of a distance between the pilot and where the astromech droid is.
Yeah, and if I were dating somebody who had an X-wing, I'd be like, yeah, sorry, I can't.
I can't hang out with you. Mm,
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
no,
I think you didn't know. No, I'm not
no,
going in your X-wing. This no, ain't happening.
not enough room to do what we
That's
want to do.
that's
Oh,
So at
it's
this point, of course, this is when he makes R5 go onto the planet. And of course, R5, he's
mhm.
like, it's not a request.
Mhm.
Not a request. And he's as dry as the astromech is. So it's funny, like it's like almost like comedy. The astromech's like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. The
Yeah,
astromech, I'm sure, is saying things like the Mythrol did in season 1, where he's like, this doesn't look safe. Like, are you here? I don't know about this. I wasn't trained. This isn't in my programming. You could just hear him like say all sorts of stuff. And so
Yeah.
he goes off and, they lose connection with him, which makes Mando have to go after.
yeah, I have to go out. It was, you're right about the dry humor with like, yeah, okay,
The thing
do it. Are
about
you really want me to go? And I kind of have to laugh because when I worked with robots in real life, you'd send commands. Sometimes they get it. On occasion, they won't get it and will look at you like, what? Oh, I'm supposed to do something. Oh, okay. I guess I'll go do it now. And it's like, no, stop doing that. What? No, keep doing that.
I
It's
don't know. One thing I have to say though, Star Wars has an ability, or has within its lore the ability to have these droids, even though they don't speak, they you can understand them, and they all have personalities,
mhm,
which is I think a great I would say legacy that has been passed on through different shows and different movies, and this is no exception. You can't understand the bleeps, but you can understand what he's saying, and I think that also has to do with the fact that Mando, I guess, understands these bleeps and is speaking back to him in a way that seems very personal, like he knows, like they're friends, um,
He might have something
and
that translates in the cockpit or in his
in his
helmet.
helmet, yeah. I thought about that, like, maybe he has, like, a little readout that tells him
Of course,
what they're
Grogu
saying.
understands the astromechs, so
mhm.
speak to them and communicate with them. But you make a good point, retro nerd girl. My favorite astromech is Chompers from Rebels, who has like an attitude, like he'll be like, mm-mm. And it's like, you know that means no. You know what I mean? Like he'll
Yeah.
go, like he'll have like a kind of like just with his beeps and things. The other one that I like is the new one from Andor. I think he's called B2EMO, who is also kind of interesting character. So they definitely gave them personality, and they are artificial intelligence. So
Yeah,
it is good to see it.
yeah, and I just wanna bring out, like, how concerned, Grogu is for
Yes.
this
Let me go up
child.
here because it's like, okay, so you go from here where he's kind of looking, and then they start to lose contact with the droid, and he is obviously
Concerned,
concerned.
yeah. Look at that bottom lip. Oh, he's so cute. Oh! Yeah, he's so sweet.
And
He
yet
is so
again, I'm
sweet.
so glad they didn't CGI this because there's something about puppetry where you have to interact with the other actors and you have to make the puppet reflect what's going on in the scene, not something that's afterwards or falsely constructed. That's
Yeah.
like in the moment acting. And I really like that. I thought that was cool because Mid was kind of like, no, I'm pretty sure he's okay. I'm pretty sure he's okay. And Grogu is freaked the heck out.
Yeah, yeah.
He's totally, totally, totally freaked out.
Yeah.
Let's
So
see. I'm sorry.
cute.
Did I skip too far?
You did. You jumped a little bit.
Daggone it. Okay, yeah, I
I think
sure as
you're
heck did.
more like at maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think around 15. Okay, maybe less than
Let's
15.
see.
Okay, there.
Okay. He had to get out the ship. She's like, okay. So he's like, I'm gonna pressurize the helmet.
Oh,
Basically, like, stay in the car.
yes.
Yes.
And then a sign on the window that says, "Don't worry, he has food and toys." Um, but you also hear his breathing apparatus because he's a pressurized suit.
Yes.
Oh, so good to hear that. Like, it's like we know it exists, but to
Mhm.
hear those sound effects that make it even more real. Oh, I want one of these Mando suits so badly.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a simple yet effective touch to the storytelling because when he says, "Okay, I'm pressurizing my helmet," kind of
Mhm.
when you hear that, that tells us the difference between when, he's usually strolling around or doing whatever and how dangerous the atmosphere could potentially be. So that
Yeah.
kind of kept us in. It was a little jarring in the beginning, but then you understood why. So I like how they incorporated that because it kept
Yeah.
you in the moment. It kept you in the tension of what was going on because we don't know what he's going to run into. We don't know why. What happened to the darn droid?
Yeah.
We don't know
And
what's
it's
going to happen.
technical things like that that just pull you right out of the story. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're like they're like, "Oh yeah, the air's fine," and you're like,
You're like,
"What?"
everybody's like, you know.
I'm like, "Oh gosh, this is," it does take you out. This was a nice way of doing it subtly, and with a sound effect and a few words, and yeah, good for them. They did a good job.
They did that. I like that. I like that. And of course, he's going through here, and it's just the ruins
Yeah,
of a civilization.
It's so awful because I'm sure you guys have seen in Rebels and in the Clone Wars how beautiful Mandalore used to look at. Maybe not Rebels, maybe just the Clone Wars. It was such a beautiful planet. It was very futuristic looking. It was amazing, and to see it like
Really want to
this
go back.
is just completely.
Yeah.
a lot of people have commented on that. I that have had seen those, and haven't seen it, but it looks pretty messed up. I mean, but
Oh yeah.
it looks pretty like it's a complete disaster zone, ruins. And it's scary. It's scary
Yeah.
because so many creatures are just hanging out in there, found new homes, and and they're hungry.
I
For
mean, who? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, my dear.
It's funny. I love that.
I know I
Yeah,
was
apparently they are, and it was freaky to see him jump off the edge. I mean, I knew he had his jetpack in the back, but I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
Yeah, this was my phase.
I love that scene when they both like just did that descent down. I was like,
Uh-huh.
how creative. That's such a great way of them traveling deeper into this cavernous structure and like having to go into the mines.
And he's got his little light on his pram.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Ah,
thought that
so
was pretty cool.
cool.
New repulsor pod that looks more advanced than the last one.
Yes,
He's got
Yeah.
joystick. He's probably got like a PlayStation 5 in there. He's probably playing Hogwarts
I
Legacy
believe
going
it.
Grogu.
Let me know when we get there. I'm a little busy. I think it's in a way like not an occupational hazard, but just because of where they go and where they could be, he probably has upgraded, his
Oh
his
yeah,
pram.
several times because I think one of them it got crushed completely. So I'm pretty certain he keeps getting upgrades. I don't know from where,
Mhm,
but yeah, he's got to
mhm.
be getting them fixed up or getting brand new ones. And that one looks really sweet. I think it was such a good idea to have him travel around in this thing because as he gets older, I'm sure he'll probably have more use of his legs. But even if you remember Yoda they're not going to grow that much. And so this
Mm-mm.
is a great way, boss way, to have him travel around and do the things that he needs to do. Um, and I wonder if he'll eventually one day become a bounty hunter like his dad, like his dad was.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. But yeah, he's definitely getting a lot of mileage out of that thing. But I think maybe later on, I know some people were making kind of a joke, like he can have it and like have ammunition on it and guns on it and like laser beams and stuff, but just like little gadgets that help make it feel like something he can actually get out of a battle with.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that. Nothing too outrageous, but something, just a few uh, bits of upgrades to help him out of sticky situations.
Yeah, like that little zapper R2 had.
Ah, yes.
Oh, this scene right here,
Oh,
I
yes.
love. It's a great piece of storytelling. It says so much in just coming across something like that. It's like in adventure movies where they're exploring some cavern and then they come across like a bunch of skeletons. So they know it's not, it's definitely not safe being here. And we see this helmet that obviously looks like was a former Mandalorian. So the
Hmm.
question is, it's like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously if the armor is there, it means that nobody really cares about their armor. Or at least it's how I'm interpreting it, as
Yes.
that's not anything they'd want to salvage because it's just laying there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And when he picks up that helmet, there's a certain music that's being played, and it just makes you feel like, oh, like you're like, what happened? Where's this from? Who does it belong to?
Hmm.
And just so many questions about Mandalorian and their history that kind of makes it feel like you're going down this path that of history, this part of history that hasn't been seen before. Um, yeah, I really like that moment for what it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really cool tension building and like
Mhm.
reflective moment. Man, it's like the further they went,
The more horrifying it
the
was.
more horrifying it was. And I think I accidentally skipped that one part. I
No.
guess when Mando went down first and we saw the four-eyed trolls.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, the Morlocks that everybody's
yeah.
calling them. That's
More oh, okay,
a
okay. I just said four-eyed troll because that's what it looked like.
do actually look like four-eyed trolls. They also look like the Morlocks from
Time
that
machine.
movie, The Time Machine.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that that's what they were meant to look like,
Okay.
yeah,
homage to The Time Machine. Yeah, they look in for not only are they strong, but they're huge.
oh yeah. They've got
Yeah.
muscles in every single parts
Mhm.
of their body, like, and they're bulging. Uh, and then yeah, very unique and interesting creatures, and they fashion their own weapons out of the glass that's on the surface, and so they have a civilization, these guys. So
Mhm.
I'm really curious about those creatures, and they have it. It looked like, except for the one that Grogu took care of, they
Mhm.
travel in threes. So
Mm.
I was like, oh, what's going on there? I'm curious about those guys.
Well, they're called Alamites,
Yes,
according to Bo-Katan, and they're indigenous to the planet of Mandalore.
yeah,
So,
Oh,
yeah,
and
so the
okay.
fact that they're
and
there indicates that there's life on the planet.
Mhm.
yeah. and it looks like they like eating Mandalores, so and so.
Oh, I was like, how did they get there in the first place? So that answers that question.
Yeah.
And poor Mando, I mean, getting captured.
Yeah, that was really something out of a horror movie for a minute there, as I was like, "What's going on?" Um,
Yeah, he
but
wasn't prepared for this, was he?
no,
No, and that kind of like made me unsettled a bit.
well, okay, this creature is so like wild. He's waiting there under cover, underneath the dirt, and he set that helmet up as a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he caught Din in that trap, he put he gave him a little injection right at the neck, and I was like, how gross is that? Like, what a horrible predator that was, to be waiting for who knows, like 5, 10 years, maybe 30 years, maybe 50 years, not
Well,
50, but
well, actually, the this whole thing that happened on Mandalore didn't happen that long ago.
right, yeah, it would have.
So, maybe it's been there for a few years and there hasn't, if it doesn't get one of those other creatures, the Alamites, it's
Mm-hmm.
already gotten whatever Mandalorians might be down there or whatever, flesh it wants, because it seems that that's what it wants. But when Din gets captured, it's interesting to see Grogu kind of, he pulls back now. He's not all gung ho to go forward. He's like, oh, hold up.
Yeah.
We didn't sign up for this.
Yes.
Back a little bit, and there's Mando getting all captured, and he's just like watching, and he kind of gets very quiet, and then he hops out of his little screen.
So gross. I'm like, ew, whose guts are those? And they look fresh.
And
Yeah. And
and
all of those things over there, those are all helmets.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So he's been eating for a while.
Yeah. And so,
Or
you're
however
right.
I think what he does is he liquefies them, and then if you noticed, when that thing came out of its big tortoise shell, it
Mm-hmm.
had these tubes coming out of it.
Yes.
And I
I can
think
see
that's
that.
sort of like the organic food that it
Yes.
eats. Yeah.
And what was kind of
Take a
interesting
good
about this
look at
scene,
'em.
when of course, Din is trapped and he can't get out. He's just literally held like in a coffin almost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Grogu goes up to him really close and he tries to use the force, and Grogu cannot get him out of him.
Gross.
Yeah,
It was
isn't it?
disgusting. Whatever this thing is. But I'm glad that Grogu couldn't get him out, because I didn't want to see a situation where Grogu gets everybody out of everything.
Yes.
He can't succeed at everything. This was very important to show that he's going to try this, and he didn't have the answer. He doesn't know how to get Mando out. And so when he goes up to Mando, he goes, get Bo-Katan. But in my heart, you know what I heard? I heard Mando say, get mommy. And
Yes.
okay, daddy. And he runs, just a little flip, running, get on out of there. But that's what I heard. Go get mommy. Okay.
Yes, I mean everybody's shipping them, but it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that
I hadn't thought about that.
yeah,
Huh.
everybody's shipping them right now. It's really hilarious, but I think it wouldn't hurt for a little bit of romance in the Star Wars universe. I mean, we really haven't had a good romantic story since Luke and Han.
Look. He shows up at your doorstep. She's there sipping cocktails in the palace, doing nothing. She's got her droid massaging her feet. She's got the whole world at her feet. She's got her armor on, but she's got her helmet off. So she's in this position, and he shows up there and he asks, do you want to go into the sacred waters with me? As far as I'm concerned, he's asking me out on a date. So I would have said yes. I would have said yes to this. That's just me, okay? So I don't know.
Oh man, that is so cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one who is.
You invited me, bro. We're in the water. Something's gonna happen. Something's happening.
Oh man.
Grogu got the heck out of there. He
Yes.
he used the force that he learned when he could, and he was just like, "I'm out. I'm out."
I love that. I love that moment because as soon as Din says, "Go get Bo-Katan," he was like, "Mission." I
Mhm.
just loved it. And he was like, as soon as he flipped and got into his thing, he like bent over and did like this to his little ram, and I
Yep.
was like, "Oh yes, he's so cute."
He said, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I'm out of here.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
out of here.
Mhm.
I have to use the force to strangle whoever I have to.
Don't let anything
Then,
get between you and your mission. That's what I think about in the terminal list. Or was it Reacher when he
mhm,
tells the guy, "Don't let anything get between you and your mission." That's what Grogu was like.
yeah,
it's like, I'm on a mission. Gets in
yeah,
there,
Look at him.
sets in the coordinates. Well, he's got the astromech droid actually to help him out, to help him
yeah.
navigate. Just like, boom, I'm out of here. I'm out of
That
here.
and I love that it wasn't him actually, you know, piloting it yet. Well, I mean, let's because I think sometimes it would have been like, oh yeah, let make him do something miraculous that I think having him do the basics was accomplished here and done right. I don't think we he needs to he is still a baby, you know, and
Right.
and I do as much as I want him to start to do more stuff.
Hmm.
I do want him to do it naturally and like organically to make it feel like it's a realistic, like okay, this is realistic based on his growth patterns so far and what he's able to do, his
Hmm.
size, all those things taken into consideration. I do see one day him, that he would be able to totally, pilot that thing by himself. But a
Yeah.
little bit more time, you know.
It's kind of like what happened in the previous season when Luke basically put him in the Uber and had
Yeah.
R2D2
Yes.
bring him back. The astromech basically will navigate
Yeah.
for you. From what I recall from some of the books that I've read, it's like the astromech droid does a lot of those split second calculations,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah,
and
because I
all that.
mean, sometimes the pilot needs to focus on shooting,
Exactly.
and so this is the perfect place to have an astromech droid, and it'd be it was used perfectly here, perfectly here. I was so worried because I was like, what are they gonna have this droid do? I mean,
Hmm.
after he, I'm just so glad they used him very well for this episode. So I'm also looking forward to see what they do with him further along the line of the storytelling. Like,
Hmm.
it is he going to play a bigger part, or is he just going to kind of disappear? I mean, we could be
Right.
looking at a family building here with all the two droids,
Hmm.
and it's supposed that they do get IG-11 one day, and we've got Din and Grogu and maybe Bo-Katan,
We we will
a
see,
little family gone.
'cause, she was none too pleased about uninvited visitors coming to the palace, and she's none too happy, like, "What the I told you I didn't wanna see you." I'm paraphrasing, and then Grogu pops out,
She's
and
like,
she's like, "What happened to him?"
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. And
yes.
you know what I thought as soon as she said that? I was like, "She cares about
Yeah, uh-huh, I did too.
him?"
I did too. That's when it
Well,
clicked for me because it's not, "Yeah, I guess you screwed up, huh? Am I stuck with you now?" I mean,
That could be the yeah.
but that's not what came out.
Yeah.
She was obviously very very concerned about Din Djarin. I'd say probably on a different level by the way that she sounded when she's like, "What happened to him?"
Yeah.
And yeah, she was like, "Okay, we got to go get him. We got to go get him." Then to back off, back to the planet.
She looks great here. She looks
Oh,
great. I mean, Bo-Katan looks good. And,
yeah.
she's kind of like, this is not the most attractive outfit to wear for a woman, but she looks good in this.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, feels like she's in her domain here with Grogu sitting next to her. And she's like, I've worked with other Jedi before you. And,
Hmm.
like this kind of rapport where she's talking to him. And she does seem to know how to handle being with a Jedi. Like she
Yeah.
gets it. She completely understands Grogu. There is no disconnect. She has a lot more experience than Din does. And, I'm not saying that he can't raise Grogu, but, he could benefit from Bo-Katan's, having her as someone who he could turn to sometimes.
Yeah. She definitely has motherly instincts as well. Um, and not just, you know, to Din, not saying that she wants to be his mother, but she's very protective
Hmm.
of these two. And this particular scene is really interesting because she's telling him about her world. She said it didn't always look like this.
Hmm.
And the way that Grogu looks at her, and he looks at her and then he looks down, and you could almost see like he really feels bad for her, you know? It's a wonderful, tender moment where you really feel the intensity of how disappointed she is about what has happened.
Hmm.
And from, my knowledge of what had happened, she was partially to blame for some of this mess.
Yeah,
But
she should have went with him. She knows that already.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so it's really kind of, it's really, you can see that there's a lot of guilt and just bad, like, just feeling terrible about, this,
Right.
and he's also, like, giving her that space, that he's kind of, like, being, um, empathetic to what she's
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, I love that moment.
Yeah, and then I also think that occasionally he looks at her and he goes, she's thinking, "I love you," and he's thinking, "I know," like
Oh, man.
It was just such a it was a really interesting scene. The rapport between, between
I
between the
loved
two
it.
of them. And again, I love these shots. I love these shots. It
Wonderful.
looks like a crater just and you don't know. And this is kind of like a different perspective because when we first were shown this, when Din landed there, it's like you saw like the clouds, and then when he landed you just kind of saw, the outcropping that looked like
Mhm.
the Fortress of Solitude, but we didn't get this view
Yeah,
of
yeah,
what it looked like. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I can see why certain people, and I'll put that in quotes, thought that it was completely destroyed, like there's nothing
yeah,
that could live there. And if you saw it like this, you'd probably be like, no, I don't think there's anything left down there
yeah.
at all.
And it was in pretty bad shape before. It was all desert, and so with the bombs, it just made everything out of glass, turn
Hmm.
into glass. And it's a like, whoever came up with this story, and we're talking like eons back to, like, whoever was responsible for writing about this lore earlier, just great ideas. This is high creativity, and then to try to put this on screen like
Hmm.
this, and make it look so good, as good as it does. It's just really, makes me just like, wow, great job, great job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, there's her ship, which I thought was really cool. I mean, we've
Me
seen it
too.
before,
Yeah,
but it's just something about the ships in Star Wars and the detail that they put into them that never ceases to amaze me.
Oh yeah, I love that ship. It was beautiful, well
It's
Very
done.
cool. Very cool. Not as cool as Moff Gideon's ship. Ah,
But
man, that ship
there was
landing
some
was
space in
crazy.
there too. So, right?
The
It like she had a space to what there was 2 was it a
Yes.
two-seater?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then the robot, like she had a lot of space in that thing. I mean,
Mhm.
man, Din might need to get an upgrade. So,
Yeah. It's like he's got a compact and she's got an SUV.
yes, yes, I didn't even think yes, totally. Oh,
I
man.
love his expressions. Of course, he's rolling off like, "Okay, we gotta go back in here."
Oh, and this is so important when the astromech, when R5 plugs into, Bo-Katan's ship, because well, at least from my point of view, Din really doesn't have a lot of information about anything. And, this might actually help out Din if the astromech has downloaded everything from this computer. This can help him
Oh,
out a lot. This
It's a
might
good
be
point.
those lucky situations where he plugs in and she'll know that information was taken. But
Mhm.
it is very interesting. No one's really sharing a lot with Din so that he knows what to expect. The armorer certainly is not sharing anything with him. He doesn't have anybody who can give him the information he needs, and so this is really important that this astromech has done this. So let's see how this turns out. If information was retrieved from the
Mhm.
computer and he does find out exactly what happened and why there's nobody around.
That's
yeah.
a good
Yeah,
point. That's a
that's a
great
good
observation.
yes,
I did not
yes.
even think about that because now that you say that, how many times have we seen R2D2 plug into a data port or make the
Okay.
mistake and plug into a power socket and get fried? But he would patch into the computer and like in the Empire Strikes, not in the Empire Strikes Back, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, in the
no.
Empire Strikes Back, he said, he's like, no, the hyperdrive's been disabled, and 3PO's like, well, how do you know? And he's like, the base computer told you, not to trust a strange computer.
Yes.
But that's what I was thinking about because R2 would plug in and he would get information like that, almost like the first thing that he would do whenever he would
Yeah.
land someplace is find a
Yeah, he would
data
just
port and
yeah,
plug in.
yeah. That was his first thing.
And then it's something to think about because, of course, Star Wars is being told. The first three films, I think, are being told from the point of view of R2D2. So,
Mhm.
he's telling the story to you. And I think it's very interesting that maybe even R5 might also have some of the story and we just don't know.
Oh,
It could be possible.
interesting.
That could be possible because you're right when you say that because R2D2 is the only one who's been there from the beginning through to 6. He is the only one who knows everything that's
Yeah.
going on. 3PO only has half the story because he had his memory wiped. I think it's because protocol droids talk too freaking much. So that's really why they had to do the Men in
Yeah,
Black thing on him.
probably.
Oh man, they go in here and I love her helmet. I've always loved Bo-Katan's
Yeah.
armor. I love how detailed her helmet is. And she goes in there and of course Grogu is very unsettled
Mhm.
and he doesn't like going in there. And I think this is when she was talking more about the civilization and
Mhm.
what it kind of like what it was like in its heyday. And then when she basically says, you know what, and now look at it, now look at it now.
And of course, Grogu, I think, knew already what Mandalore looked like because he had access to that in the temple. So
Right.
he knew that it was a planet that was spectacular, but to see it in this state might also be something that's shocking to him even to see these.
Mm,
What the hell are
yeah,
we doing in these ruins? He's
Mhm.
like, Daddy, what are we doing in this these horrible ruins? Like, why? But maybe she's explaining a little bit more stuff that is important in regards to being a Mandalorian. And of course,
yeah,
he is one. Technically speaking, he's in a clan, a Mandalorian clan.
yeah,
So he's a Mandalorian in training, if you will, a
yeah,
foundling.
yeah. He has to learn all this stuff.
Hmm.
And again, she's um I just love the way she's talking to him and the scene. She's not ignoring him. She's not being belittling him. She's
Mhm.
talking to him like a you would talk to like a friend or someone who you were training.
Mhm.
He definitely there's very much a training vibe going on for Grogu. He's some people have speculated that he's the Mandalorian that the title is referring to because the story really starts out as sort of back from episode one. It starts off with finding him, and then it continues
Hmm.
on. And so that's a theory going on around with the fans.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
I love the idea of training him
Mhm.
because what kind of interesting thing would it be? It wouldn't be the first Jedi Mandalorian, but it is definitely would be cool to see him in his full glory one day, and it doesn't have to be right away as long as they get to it gently with the story organically. But eventually, one day, see him as a Mandalorian. I can't wait to see that.
Hmm.
I can't wait.
That would definitely be an interesting twist. I hadn't even thought about it like that.
Yeah, that's one of the theories out there. I and I'm living for the Mando family. Like I need that in my life.
But speaking of, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was saying Clan Mudhorn. That's their clan. So
Oh yeah, yeah, the Mudhorn. Yeah,
Yeah, I because like speaking of family, it's like I love this. I think it was this part where Bo Katan tells Grogu, "I know you're scared,
oh yeah.
but I can't do this without you."
Hmm.
And she basically is like, I get it. I get it that you, because he's seriously frightened,
Yeah,
and,
it
but she's just
spooked
like,
him.
yeah, it totally spooked him. And she's just like, I can't find him without you. And then once he gets that, he's like, okay, all right, turn
Yeah,
the light on and I'm going to show you where to find my daddy.
and
Pretty
yeah,
much in a nutshell. I mean, because you look at his face, he's
yeah,
like, he's terrified. He's
yeah,
absolutely,
the other thing
absolutely
too is that
terrified.
he's a Jedi, so he can find Din,
yeah,
and she's not. So she could scan forever. She may not find him, but she
Right.
knows that Grogu can find him no problem.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're
Yeah, and I
absolutely
think
right.
that's where we're probably, this whole talk of navigator thing that happens in the story.
Mm-hmm.
With the Force, there's certain things you can do, spatially. And we saw that
Mm-hmm.
with Anakin and quite a few, Luke. So
Right.
it could be that he is developing these navigational skills. They're just naturally coming to him. And so yeah, I love that part. But here's something else I wanted to interject really quickly. I'm concerned, and I wonder if they'll play on this at all, with him being so afraid, so many times doing this, that if they're going to go down the fear equals leads down the dark side path thing, because um,
Hmm.
it was such a big story plot.
That's a very excellent point to see how that pans out, because with Anakin, he was just fearful for so much of his life, especially with everything that had happened to him. And Yoda's first comment basically is like, much fear as you knew.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if that might not play into it that might play play into it. It's like it depends on how they want to take it, but I think
Mhm.
it should, because isn't that part that's part of the Jedi storyline is if you have a lot of fear, this could lead you down the path of the dark side, and just we don't have to linger on it for too long, but that dark
Mhm.
side being something that he Grogu has to get over.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, there's the four-eyed four-eyed troll. She just basically takes him out like he's nothing. I love that she has her jetpack.
Oh
Jetpacks are
yeah.
cool. Jetpacks are cool.
Well, she knows what they are. She knows they're Alamites, so she knows how to deal with them. In fact, she
Mhm.
sees them and she immediately deals with it. Very different reaction where, Din didn't know what to expect.
Nah, and he tried pulling out the dark saber that keeps fighting against him. He still hasn't. We knew that wasn't gonna work. He tried. He tried to make it work, but that's the first thing I thought about when I saw that. It's like I don't think you've quite mastered using the dark saber.
Yeah, and I think I've heard theories that it has a lot to do with the fact that he's um, searching for the spiritual completeness
Hmm.
with a to be forgiven, and that he does he's not at one with himself. So once he has found that peace, perhaps it'll be easier for him to wield the sword or
Because
the
his
saber.
mind won't be divided.
Hmm.
Well, Bo-Katan, ironically, when she gets there, she picks up the dark saber and uses it at some point while
Yes.
fighting this creature, whatever this creature is. And it's really interesting. She kind of, it's not an easy fight, but she knows what to do. And one of my favorite scenes is when that creature goes into the bigger, he's in the giant exoskeleton,
Mm,
and she
yes.
has the dark saber kind of like this, and she slides underneath him, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, it looks so good. Like she's
Yes.
damn hardcore, slices off his legs and all sorts of stuff, and it's like she knew how to defeat him, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing that I noticed, and I'm kind of glad that they showed the distinction here with the dark saber. Din is just he's not proficient with it. You can tell. It's like he wants it to work, but is very clunky with using it. Bo Katan, of course, she's had it longer. It is like an extension of herself. And you can see that when when she fires it up without hesitation and just uses it. So again, it just shows the mastery that she has and kind of like the struggle that Din Djarin has was trying to use the dark saber. I wonder if he'll ever get control
Well, people
of
were
the
saying
dark
maybe she'll
saber.
even show him how to use it.
That would be helpful.
That would
Gonna
be
have
a
to show.
very,
Oh,
very interesting.
a little
Interesting.
training montage of her training him. That would be cool.
All right. Let's see. So to kind of wrap this up, and I'm going a little fast here. Um, come on. So she basically, comes in, saves the day, so to speak, gives Grogu apparently, I forget what it was
It's called
called.
pond soup.
Yeah, bog soup.
Yeah. And it's like, Mandalorians were raised on this stuff. You don't know what it is. And I
It's
think
like
it's funny that Grogu got it.
well, he thought he was going to get it. I think she was giving it to Din, but Grogu's like, where's mine? Like, so
You gonna
adorable. Just
feed
like, aren't I
me?
going to get any? And of course, we're assuming she gives him some in the end. But what's so funny about it is this Lake Minnetonka thing comes up again. She thinks they're out of there, and Din is like, "No, I've got to bathe in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, aka the special waters." And
Hmm.
she's like, what are you? She doesn't say this, but she's like, what are you crazy? So they end up going to the Lake Minnetonka location, and she's the only one who can show him because there's no way he would have found the mines. When they get to the mines, there's a plaque on the wall that says the great mythosaur was here, and this is why the mythosaur skull is so important in
Hmm.
And Din just goes straight on in there. And I don't know about you, and I'm sure many of you thought this. I thought he's gonna be like, shh, shh, take off his armor and all this sort of stuff. He just goes into the water, and something pulls him in. And of course, Bo-Katan immediately responds to that. And of course, what she finds and what they both see, it's one of the most incredible scenes in this episode, as far as I'm concerned, the discovery that they make.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I think up until like this whole thing, Bo-Katan is really making fun. Well, I wouldn't say she's making fun of, but very lightheartedly speaking of all of the things that she had to go through as a princess, and or like she just sort of makes it sound very frivolous. Like, oh yeah, we did the ceremony, but it was only in show, basically. And she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really believe. And like when she's reading the plaque, she's almost joking about it, you know? So I think
Yeah.
after actually seeing that the mythosaur, I think she believes now. I don't know. I think she believes.
I didn't think we were going to see the mythosaur, that he was going to go into the waters, that he'd see the mythosaur. This is the last thing I thought we'd be seeing in episode 2. This is unbelievable. I can't even believe it. And I actually have different feelings about Bo-Katan. I didn't know how I felt about her. I feel very differently about her. They need each other. I think that's something
I
that's
think so too.
they need each other. And he's not going to get to the end of this journey without her.
Yeah.
No, because he's just very, I'll say naive in a way. And I don't know if it's because his particular clan, since he was a child of the watch, but who he was with, I guess the urban legend that the armor was saying is just like it's cursed. There's no way to perpetuate that. It's like, was that done because they knew about the mythosaur? I didn't even know that was the name of it. All I know was something that reminded me of a crocodile just came out the water and dragged him down in
Well,
there. And it was just crazy. I didn't expect
Well,
for
see,
that to
that's
happen.
another thing too, is that when he gets to the water, like it's not clear whether anything grabbed him or not, because when you look at the mythosaur, when you finally see it, it looks like it was just waking up almost, and then it moved away. So like it wasn't really even going after them.
No, it
So
wasn't. They got caught in the wake or something.
so I was thinking that maybe when he steps down, like just when he says heart, he says the words heart and then he sinks.
Yeah,
I think the platform ended, like it was deteriorated because when she dives in, there's nothing but rocks, 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 rocks.
right.
So I was thinking, I was like, oh well, was that there used to maybe be a platform, and now it just because of all the bombing and all the stuff, it
That it was
just
unstable and
yeah,
just
and he
okay.
just fell all the way down to the bottom because he's wearing all this Beskar. Um, and that's what I took it for. So but still, next episode he could say something pulled me down.
Because it was such a split second thing that happened. And I'm like, oh my God, something grabbed him.
Yeah, me
And
too.
then you see, like the mythosaur under there. And I'm just like, is that what, grabbed him and dragged him down? But yeah, I guess we will find out because Bo-Katan was freaked out and she jumped down there to go get him. And then you just see how huge this creature is. And it's kind
Uh,
of like, were they having these ceremonies and knew that thing was down there? Or
Well, to be honest with you, from what I understand, the situation was that originally, when the early Mandalorians were on the planet, they hunted the mythosaur almost to the point of extinction. So it was a legend, and the idea that there would be a mythosaur down there is something that no one would believe anyway. What people are saying is that it might have been in hibernation, and that the bombing on the surface of the planet may have
mhm.
awoken this mythosaur. So
yeah.
he's, just down there. He or she is down there, and this very few animals or creatures would be going into those waters. Nobody's going to be going into those waters. So he disturbed the tranquilness, and the mythosaur just going up to see who's up there.
Yeah, that could be very exactly what happened. But
True.
also part of the lore is that whoever sees the mythosaur, there's something special about the person who sees the mythosaur. And so maybe
Hmm.
they'll go into it a little bit more because it was not certain if Din actually saw the mythosaur because, or if he was knocked out. But she definitely saw the the mythosaur.
Yeah, she
Or
she definitely saw.
yeah, or whether the mythosaur was trying to get to Din because Din is the one, or whether it made itself known because she's the one, or maybe together there's something. So it's
True.
really juicy. Like this is, I really wish this was episode one. To be absolutely honest with you, I wish it started out like this
Mhm.
because this is just the lore is huge. This is the main story plot, I
Hmm.
think, and everything else is like, B, C, D plot. This is the main meat and potatoes right here.
And what you're talking about, Retro Nerd Girl, is exactly right, because apparently in the book of Boba Fett, I'm reading this. I didn't memorize this.
Oh,
Okay.
In the book of Boba Fett's fifth episode, I'm reading this from the fandom. The armorer told Din Djarin that she has songs of eon past, foretold of the Mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore.
mhm, mhm,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
So
that's we're
Interesting.
yeah.
Mandalore's back, baby.
And I am all here for it because the reason I started watching The Mandalorian is because I didn't know anything about The Mandalorian or Mandalore, anything like that. So I figured this show, that's where I would get that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're diving into it in this particular episode. So to wrap up, ladies, give me your rating on a scale of 1 to 10. What
I give
you
it
would
a
give
10
this
out of 10.
episode?
Wow.
That was fast.
I thought it was a great episode. There's no perfect episode, but for pure entertainment value, this one, I just loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I give this one a 9, and that's because I'm expecting like a love scene somewhere, and that would be a 10. So this is a 9.
Well,
And yeah, like I said before, I really wish this was the first episode because this is the
Mm.
juicy, juicy, juicy stuff.
maybe in the next episode she should take his mask off and give him
Oh.
mouth to mouth. I don't know.
Then they have to go back into the waters again, this time naked.
I'm fine with it. That's what I would have been doing anyway.
Oh, Disney Plus not gonna give us that.
Oh, okay.
It's like a girl can dream, right? Okay, right,
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right. I will actually give this one an 8.5. The reason why is I don't like the idea of Din Djarin being captured like that so easily
I hear
because he
you.
is a Mandalorian and an experienced bounty hunter. So I didn't like how that kind of went down. That basically Grogu had to go, called cavalry to bring in known as Bo Katan, and she's the one to basically dispatch this person. I would have liked it much better in a way if Bo Katan showed up and they didn't know she was there, and all of them went down there at the same time.
That would have been nice.
That would have been nice. That would have been
Yeah,
awesome.
like she just like sneaking, like looking to see if
Yeah,
they're
like I
gonna be
didn't think you were
okay.
actually gonna show up here.
Yeah.
You know?
This
I
is the
like that. I like that.
second time
Uh-oh, they need to hire you for the writing team.
this is the second time that she saved him after
Yeah.
him being captured, been in a cage, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
So it's the second time, like he doesn't do well with cages.
So
no.
she saved his life 3 times in total.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. I'm kind of like, okay, we kind of saw that. So can we see something a little a little different. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I like dinged it down from like a from like a 9. It's just
We
I
need
do
to we need to get that Mando back to, like, how he was in, like, season 1 and even season 2,
yes.
like, kicking
Yes, we
butt,
do.
like, taking
Mhm.
names,
Bring
collecting
in
receipts.
harm, bring in cold. Which one do you want it to be?
Well, I don't think he is
Exactly.
a bounty hunter anymore. You see, I think that he's left that world behind him, so to speak. And but at least in this episode, Bo-Katan has got her Mandalorian mojo back.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that because I did not like sulky, salty Bo-Katan. I did
He's
not.
sulky in a palace. How could you be sulky in a palace?
I know. Well, apparently they found a way for her to be. Well, folks, that is going to do it for this episode breakdown and review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you got some value out of it.
Yeah.
Please do subscribe to these amazing ladies on the panel of positive fandom, Retro Nerd Girl. Their details are in the description box of this video, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.